think Mridula, you can start.
Sorry. Good morning, everyone. We're waiting for more parents to join us, but welcome to Blue Block's virtual open house. This is something new that we are also trying out, and we hope you have a pleasant experience today. But as we wait for others to join us, people who have registered for the webinar to join us, I'd like to take care of some formalities. We will be posting some some details that we require of you on the common chat window. Ms. Sheetal, who is our admin representative here today, she'll be posting it right now. We would request you to kindly furnish those details to us. You can see those details and type them out in Ms. Sheetal's personal window so that we have a record of this. You can do it anytime during the course of this webinar. So that's something that I wanted to share with you. So please, if you can oblige us and send us those details, it will be wonderful. Also, I think you're all here today because of one reason, and that is curiosity. You're all curious to know about Montessori, about Blue Blocks, about admissions at the time of COVID, how schooling will start at the time of COVID. So I'm sure you have come with some set of questions and queries and some ponderings that you had before you joined this webinar. So I would like to take this opportunity to invite you all to you use the question and answer section in our webinar and start posting your questions there, so that I'm sure most of your questions we will be able to cover in our...
You got muted, Mridula. We are not able to hear you.
We can hear her. We can hear.
So we will be posting these. So I will request you to please post all your questions in that Q&A section so that we will get to them as we go through the seminar, through this webinar, and we'll try to answer all your questions at the end, of course. So you can start posting your questions right away. Thank you, Karthik, for saying that he can. Okay, I hope I'm audible to everybody now. So it looks like we have quite an attendance already. So let me do one thing. Since you're all here for Blue Blocks, to see Blue Blocks, let me share something for you from us. We'd like you to officially welcome you to Blue Blocks. That's our welcome to our first virtual open house of Blue Blocks. And now I'd like to introduce you to Nidhi. Nidhi, you're muted. Nidhi.
Hi, welcome to Blue Blocks Virtual Open House. I am Nidhi Vora. My association with Blue Blocks is as a parent first and then a parent coordinator. After doing my Montessori training and implementing it in my personal life, I was very excited to spread the word as a parent coordinator here at BlueBlocks. So today I would like to share with you all about Montessori education and how it can be a life-altering foundation for your child. I understand while nothing beats visiting the school personally and understanding its philosophy and practice, in these challenging times, we have tried to bring the same experience to you in your homes. So we hope your experience today will be enjoyable and fruitful for your child's need.
Hello, everybody. It's great to see all of you here. Let me formally, officially introduce myself now. I'm Mridula Chunduri. I'm also a Montessori mother, after which I became a Montessori adult. I trained myself into the 6 to 12 age group AMI training. And now I'm the elementary coordinator for BlueBlocks. So today we are all here because we're all curious, like I said. But before I actually get on with the rest of the presentation, I wanted to share something about myself. I was a journalist for 11 years before I changed professions and got into education, because I'd seen education from the sidelines, and I thought it was high time I got into the midst of it and tried to be the difference I want to see. So in that sense, when I was a journalist, we always had this one rule that if we can answer 6 questions about something, we will get to know the full story about it. We will get to know all that we need to know about it if we could answer just 6 questions. So we decided, why don't we take off from there? And we decided to answer 6 questions for you today. So we are hoping that these 6 questions that we will answer today will help you understand our story, the story of BlueBlocks. So let's get started right away with that. I'll just try to answer those 6 questions for you. I'll first share those 6 questions with you. Why BlueBlocks? What is Montessori? How will we do virtual learning? I'm sure this is one of the questions that you all have in your mind when you decided to attend this webinar. Who is our team? Where does Cambridge come in? Again, this is something you must have seen in the flyer that brought you here. And when do I enroll? Now, I know this last question seems a little presumptuous of us, but to be perfectly honest, it's mainly logistics that we will share with you during that part of the webinar. But again, to be perfectly modest also, I would like to say that we believe in the system so much that we think Montessori is the right fit for your child. And I hope you'll give us a chance to convince you of the same. So let's get started. Why BlueBlocks? Because we have been adjudged the best school in Hyderabad. For 3 years in a row, for 3 consecutive years, the Times of India School Survey has named BlueBlocks as the #1 preschool in the city.
Why BlueBlocks? BlueBlocks because we care. We place our children first. So all our work is catering to their development. When you enroll your child here at BlueBlocks, you just don't enroll your child. You enroll your own self. So we enroll your family into our family. Let us hear from one of our parents.
For being in BlueBlocks all the way. So I recommend BlueBlocks to each and every kid for being independent, and especially, the workshops that you guys have to have every single person on the same page. Usually we focus on parents, but even if parents are on one page, even like grandparents will pamper and kind of spoil, not like the good spoil, but which becomes unworkable. So here they have workshops for drivers, maids, everybody. So everyone's on the same page. So it's extraordinary. And with that no diaper, no screen time is awesome.
So why BlueBlocks again? Because we offer authentic Montessori education. Now, what is Montessori and why does your child need it? Well, let us hear it from the people who believed so much in this philosophy and methodology that they quit their promising careers to start BlueBlocks 11 years ago. Our founders. Let me introduce you to Pawan Goel and Munira Hussain. The floor is yours, guys.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Pawan Goel, founder of BlueBlocks. I did this Montessori training in the year 2004-2005 to start a school because my own experience as a student at my school wasn't great. All I remember about the classroom was it was too much of stressful, and I would always want to escape the classroom and go to the play area. So there was something I knew that which is not going great about our current education system. While I didn't knew what is the right thing, I started to do research about what are the various education systems which are available across the world, and luckily got to read about this Montessori pedagogy, which was developed by Dr. Maria Montessori. And luckily, there was a training available right in Hyderabad, which was for the age group of 3 to 6 year old children. Now, it was a 10-month training. I had no plan to do a 10-month training just to start a preschool, because my assumption about what we teach in preschool was that we teach them some numbers, some rhymes, some letters, writing, reading. Now, to teach children these concepts, why would I need to do a 10-month training? And before that, I had done my MBA. I have built a couple of businesses and sold it at a good valuation. So I thought I'll do the training for a month or two and start the school. But day one of my training, everything altered for me. Everything I understood about this young child and everything I understood about how this pedagogy supports and nurtures every aspect of the child development was so impactful that I was clear that this is what I am going to do for the rest of my life. So I completed that 3 to 6 training completely, got certified, and then went to US to do my Montessori 0 to 3 training. And I started the school in 2009, which I wanted to start within a couple of months of my training. But once I was into it, I knew this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I said, this is the time to build some experience and expertise about understanding these young children. In 2009, me and Munira, we started Blue Blocks. And today we have one preschool and a full school. Preschool is at Gachibowli and full school is at Tellapur. So let's begin the this part of session with a small exercise. I'm sure all of you love exercise. Rather than just listening, it's always interesting to participate, isn't it? So I'm going to tell you what you're going to do in this exercise. What you're going to do in this exercise is that you are going to close your eyes and follow the instructions which I'm going to give. Let's say in this exercise, if I ask you to imagine that you are a 2-year-old child and you're playing in a swimming pool, that is what you will imagine as well as experience. All right. So on a count of 3, I would want each one of you to close your eyes. 1, 2, 3. You're this 5-month-old fetus and you're in your mother's womb. And your mother is going through a lot of stress and trauma. You're born in a hospital, and the moment your grandparents saw you, they were upset. They wanted a grandson, but you happened. In the hospital, you're being touched by everybody. Now you're growing up. You're a 1-year-old child now. You're playing in the kitchen and you're exploring objects in the kitchen. And the moment your mom saw you, she said, "Don't do that. Don't touch that." You are this 1.5-year-old child now. You're playing in a park and you're jumping, running, swinging, sliding. And suddenly an unknown person comes to you and has picked you up. He's kissing you, pulling your cheeks. You're crying. You want to get down, but he's saying, "No, you're so sweet." You're helpless. You're this 2-year-old child now. You're at home and you're scribbling on some papers, and later your father found out that they are very important papers. And the moment he saw that you have scribbled on some important papers, your father slapped you. You're shocked. You don't know why your dad slapped you. You're this 2.5-year-old child now. You have gone to school. You want to get up and move around, but your teacher is telling you, don't move, sit straight. You want to talk to your friends. You want to tell them what you did over the weekend. But your teacher is telling you, keep quiet, finger on your lips. You're this 3-year-old child now. You have gone out for shopping along with your mother. And at the traffic signal, your mom saw a beggar and she's showing that beggar to you and she's telling you, if you don't listen to me, I will give you away to this beggar. All right. Please open your eyes. All right. I would want few of you to share what was your experience as a child while you were going through this exercise. What was your experience as a young child? If you please raise your hand, I can unmute you to speak. Who would like to share? What was your experience while you were going through this exercise? So one of the parent has sent a text. Felt very unhappy with these many restrictions, isn't it? Thanks for sharing that, Raghavan. Anybody else? You can share as text in the chat or you can raise your hand. Yeah, Harish Raju. Yeah, you can speak now, Harish.
Okay, yeah, I'm audible?
Yes, Harish.
Yeah, thank you, Pawan, for that experience. So I felt somewhere we are controlled in a controlled environment. Though I want to explore something, but somewhere a restriction, and that keeps pondering on my behind. Somebody else again will tell me to stop something. So that was my strong feeling I felt.
Yeah, you experience being restricted, isn't it?
Restricted, and that is continuing. That's not pausing at that moment. Again, if I do something else, somebody may come and stop me, is my feeling. So that's continuing, I can say.
Yeah, that's how you are constrained, that you have fear that you do something and somebody will come and stop you, right? Got that.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Thanks. Would anybody else like to share?
We have two reactions on the chat window. Ms. Sunita says it is traumatizing. And Karthik Punala says felt fearful and helpless.
Yeah. See, if you would have noticed, most of our children go through most of these experiences, isn't it? And who has been giving these experiences to children? It is we as parents. It is we who are the most committed set of people for our children. Now, I understand we all do this inside of our own fears for them. It is to help them, but we know the kind of impact it has on children is very, very strong. And these kind of experiences can constrain them forever. All right. So our role as parents and educators is first to understand our children and then provide a nurturing, caring, and developmental environment. So before we can provide a nurturing environment, we need to first understand who is this young child. So I'm going to talk specifically from the first 6 years of the child's context. This young child has a very, very different kind of mind, which we call absorbent mind, which is totally different from the kind of mind you and I have. This absorbent mind is like a sponge. If you put a sponge in a bowl with clean water, what will the sponge do? It will absorb all that clean water, isn't it? You put the same sponge in a bowl with dirty water, what will the sponge do? It will absorb all that dirty water. Just because the sponge has absorbed all the dirty water, can we say that there is something wrong with the child? No. It just meant that the child has all the ability to absorb. Similarly, these young children absorb anything and everything from the environment. A young child cannot differentiate between what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. For a young child, whatever he or she is absorbing, it just becomes part of his or her personality. So if a child has absorbed something inappropriate, who is to be blamed? It is either we as parents or educators who are to be blamed, because the child is spending most of the time either at home or at school. So we got to be extremely responsible to what are we exposing our children to and what children are absorbing. Now, this absorbent mind is a huge power. It is this absorbent mind which helps the child create language development, movement development, social behavior patterns, and helps the child become independent. So let's see, how does it help? It is this absorbent mind which helps the child acquire language, and a young child can learn multiple languages. A young child in the first 6 years can learn 5 to 7 languages comfortably, provided there are 5 different people at home who are talking to the child in that particular language. Let's say there are 5 people at home. There's a German, there's a Japanese, there's a Chinese, there's an American, and an Indian. Each one of them speaking to the child in that particular language. This child can get all those languages. And children not just get the vocabulary, grammar, and syntax, but they also get the accent. You would have noticed how several Indians who live in US for several years cannot speak an American accent, but children born to the same parents in US, you will see can speak exactly an American accent. That is how powerful this absorbent mind is. It is this absorbent mind which helps children acquire all kinds of movement patterns. You know, the way we walk, our gait is different, and the way Chinese people walk, their gait is different. Now, if an Indian child is adopted by a Chinese couple right at birth, when this child grows up, the child will walk like a Chinese person and not like an Indian person, because that is what the child has absorbed. They not just absorb how we walk, but every movement pattern, including the way we eat. I'm sure most of us on this call have tried to eat with chopsticks, but did not succeed. Some of us would not even have tried to eat with chopsticks because it looks so complicated, and we are so sure that we will not be able to eat with chopsticks. And some of us, I'm sure, would have succeeded in eating with chopsticks. Now, some of us who have failed, you know why we failed? Because it's really, really challenging to eat something like rice with chopsticks, isn't it? But if you look at an Indian child adopted by a Chinese couple right at birth, when this child turns 4, guess what would this child be comfortable with? This child would be comfortable with eating with chopsticks, because that is what the child has absorbed. So for a young child, there is no movement pattern which is either easy or difficult. Any movement pattern which the child is exposed to consistently just becomes part of the child's personality. So it is this absorbent mind which aids the movement. It is this absorbent mind which also supports children in acquiring all kinds of social behavior patterns. I'm sure, again, everybody on this call would love to have their children be graceful, courteous, with right mannerisms. Now, how do you think we can get our children to be graceful, courteous, and right mannerisms? The only way is by we modeling it. Whether we like it or not, we are the role models for our children. Even if you do not want your child to look up to you as role model, we do not have choice. Who we are role models for our children. If who you are is extremely graceful, courteous with all right mannerisms, you will see your child will have all those mannerisms which you have. Now, if you are not graceful and courteous, or to the degree you are not graceful and courteous, to that degree, it will be difficult to expect the child to be graceful and courteous. Because children don't learn what they hear, they learn what they see. No matter how many lessons you give about how to say thank you, sorry, or how to be apologetic, how to respect, if the child doesn't see you respecting others and respecting the child, how can this child respect somebody else? The child has to first experience being respected before the child can start respecting. The child should see the grace, courtesy, and mannerisms in the environment alive. And if he or she sees, it will surely become the part of child's personality. All right. So having understood this absorbent mind, let's understand another special power which the child is blessed with in the first 6 years, which we call sensitive periods. Like every development has a duration given by the nature for the child to develop optimally. For example, the sensitive period for language development is from birth to 5.5 years. For social behavior patterns, it's from birth to 5.5 years. For refinement of senses, it's from birth to 5.5 years. For movement, it's from birth to 4.5 years. What happens during these sensitive periods is there are different sensitive periods for learning. So what happens during these sensitive periods is that children have amazing, immense sensitivity towards one particular development. Like when the child is going to the sensitivity for movement, you would notice how this child would learn how to turn it around 2, 3 months. And the moment the child has learned how to turn, you would see the child would keep turning, keep turning, keep turning. No matter how many pillows and bolsters you put, you would see the child has already turned. So whenever these sensitivities kick in, you would see the child being immensely interested and focused on one particular development and would do a lot of repetition. At around 8, 9 months, when the child is going through the sensitivity for language, you would notice how when the child learns how to babble, child starts saying baba, dada, and you would see the child is repeating all the time. Even when we are ready to sleep, the child is saying baba, dada. So whenever they are going through these sensitivities, you would see immense interest and repetition. So our role as parents and educators is to understand that sensitivity and support and nurture those developments. Like with language development, the sensitivity at around 1.5 years is that they would like to know the names of anything and everything in the environment. That's the time where they are going through the what period. Like they want to know what is this? What is this? Between 1.5 to 4, we can teach them few thousands of words because of their immense interest in learning this vocabulary. So our pedagogy, Montessori system, is designed based on these developmental periods. It's designed having understood this amazing ability to absorb anything and everything. All right. Nudula, can we share the PPT? So let's understand what are some of the developments which are happening in the first 6 years and how is this pedagogy supporting. So children go through this sensitivity for language development. So we focus on spoken language first. Once the spoken language is developed, then we support and nurture the writing part. So the first step before we introduce writing is children need to learn some basic phonics. Like here, do you see this video of the child tracing these letters? So before even the child is tracing these letters, we first introduce basic phonics to the child. Like what are the different sounds when you hear when I say the word fan? The first sound is f, next sound is a, and the last sound is n. Once the child has understood these sounds is when we introduce these sandpaper letters where the child is tracing these letters and getting the sensorial muscular impression of the letter, and these shapes of these letters literally get ingrained in their brain. Once they have done enough work with sandpaper letters is when we introduce movable alphabet where they are making words using alphabet box. Once they have started to make those words is when We start helping them prepare for writing by getting them to trace lot of metal in sets and draw undulated lines. And one fine day, you will see your child starts to write. And when our children start to write, they are straight away writing in words and they are writing cursive script. In traditional format, the cursive script is only introduced after 6 years when they go to grade one. Whereas here, if you see these sandpaper letters, these are designed in cursive script. So the only script which the child knows is the cursive script. As you understood, for a young child, there's no movement pattern which is either easy or difficult. So when we introduce this cursive script, children just absorb those patterns of the cursive script, and when they start writing, they straight away start writing in cursive script. Another major development which is happening during this phase is the sensorial development. So if you would have noticed how at home you would see children are exploring anything and everything with their hands and senses. So this sensorial development is supported with lot of material at Blue Blocks in a Montessori pedagogy, where we are refining every aspect of their sense, from sense of dimension to sense of colors to thermic sense, which is sense of temperature. Every sense is refined through very, very interesting sensorial material, because it is the senses which feed the intellect. So a well refined set of senses is what would be the base for a great intellectual development. So in this video, you are seeing how this child is building a trinomial cube. A 4-year-old is building a trinomial cube based on the shape and the color, by matching the shapes and colors. And this same material is used in our elementary environment, where children come out with the formula of how to build a trinomial cube using this same material. Another major development which is happening in the first 6 years is the, we'll play this at the end of this part. So if you notice, in the very first year, you would see how this child wants to explore anything and everything with the mouth in the very first year. Between 1 and 4, you would see how children are exploring the whole world with their hands and senses. Now, at around 4, now there is a whole new interest for the child. The child is not happy exploring the world just with his hands and senses. Now the child wants to explore the world through certain logic and reasoning mind. At around 4, there is something which we call happens, which is the awakening of the mathematical mind. So it is this awakening of the mathematical mind at around 4 which leads to we introducing mathematics to children. The best way to support and nurture the reasoning mind, intellectual, analytical mind, is by introducing mathematics. So in Montessori, we are not trying to teach mathematics for them to learn these concepts. We give mathematics to stimulate and nurture this analytical reasoning mind, in the process of which children learn way more than what is taught in our traditional format. Can we play this video, Murli? So here you will see the child is performing addition snake game. So there are many interesting material for math, where children work with different material to learn and consolidate various concepts for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So for each of these concepts, there are multiple materials, because what will help them learn any of these concepts is through a lot of repetition, and repetition through a lot of variety of material and activities. So at the end of 6 years in our traditional format, what children learn at around 6 years, children learn 1-digit addition in our traditional format, whereas in a Montessori pedagogy, by the time children are 5 and 6, they don't just learn addition, but they learn addition, subtraction, including multiplication. Because the way things are introduced, because it is stimulating their reasoning mind, they are hungry to do more and more math work during that phase. So while we spoke about the sensorial development, language development, and mathematical development, most of the times we miss out on certain basic aspects of the child's personality. We miss out on things like the child's ability to focus and concentrate. Isn't that important? It is the child's work attitude, which is very, very important in the child's learning and development. So I'm going to show you a video, and what I would want you to notice, what I want you to see in this video is how these children in Montessori pedagogy focus, concentrate, and we will talk about what helps them build this focus and concentrate. All right. I'm just trying to see how do we share screen. Can you all see this video? She's a 2 years and 11-month-old child, and she's working with these color tablets. What I would want each one of you to notice in this video is how the child is focusing and concentrating irrespective of a lot of noise in the environment. Do you see there are other children working in the environment? Now, irrespective of all that noise around the child, irrespective of so many other children working in the environment, you would see that in this 4-minute video, not even for a fraction of a second, the child's focus or attention is deviated. So while the video is on, I would want you to comment on what do you think is helping this child focus and concentrate. So feel free to type in the chat section. What do you think is helping this child focus and concentrate? Would love to hear from each one of you. Would somebody like to share? What do you think is helping her focus and concentrate?
Yeah, we have one reply here. Satya Prakash is saying arranging some color tablets, same color tablets.
Yeah. So here the child is doing a very intellectually stimulating activity, which is pairing of colors, because the child is also going through this sensitivity for refinement of senses. Any kind of sensorial material will attract and hold their attention. Very good observation.
Yeah, another observation is interest level on what she's doing is what they've observed.
And what is making her interesting is the work with the color tablets, which is a sensorial material. Another parent, Jaheda Nallam, has mentioned it is her curiosity and inquisitiveness which is helping her focus and concentrate. Absolutely correct. Now, her inquisitiveness and curiosity is what is getting her to focus and concentrate, because this material is catering to her inquisitiveness and curiosity. Somebody mentioned motivation and interest. Yes, because of this material being very interesting is motivating enough for her to focus and concentrating. Brilliant. Very good observation. What else? What else do you think is helping her focus and concentrate? So here I want all of you to watch something very, very carefully, okay? See what's happening. Would somebody like to raise hand or share what did you notice here? What have you noticed here? Who would like to share? All right. So in the interest of time, I would tell you what we have noticed. We have noticed that there's not enough space on the mat. And when there was not enough space, the child saw that the mat was a little folded, and the child tried to unfold the mat and see if this color tablet would fit. And even then, when it did not fit, the child knew that the activity is about putting these two colors together. Whether the child put them at the top or bottom, the activity still remained the same. So the child picked up those two color tablets and put them at the bottom. Now, normally in this scenario, if we as parents are sitting around, we would end up helping the child. We would tell the child what to be done or what not to be done. Now, similarly, if this Montessori teacher in the classroom would have told the child to do something or not to do something, we would have deprived this child of this opportunity to solve a problem all by herself. Our Montessori pedagogy is all about helping children become independent. So here you have seen certain kind of independence with regard to the child solving her own problems. One of the core objective of this pedagogy is to help the child become independent physically, emotionally, socially, and intellectually. All right. All right. So thanks, Mudula, for letting me do this 3 to 6 part. It was a great experience to do this.
So now I hand over to Munira. She'll take you through the 6 to 12 age group and how they are addressed in the Montessori environment.
Thank you so much, Mridula. So I'm going to begin with, letting you know a little bit about why is it that we are talking about the child psychology and, trying to understand this young child. It's because, the Montessori system is all about first understanding children. So even before we, go around and talk about what we do at BlueBlocks or who we are, we need to speak about who is this young child that we are first catering to. And that is the reason understanding the child's inner needs and powers and potentials that child is blessed with right from birth is a very, very important aspect of the work we do at BlueBlocks. So like Pawan has already mentioned, Pawan and I started BlueBlocks in the year 2009. We were in fact batchmates in the 3 to 6 year Montessori training. And post which, very recently, I also completed the 6 to 12 year Montessori training. Prior to that, I have completed my graduation in psychology. And I always thought that, once we've studied psychology for 3 to 5 years, that's more than enough to know, everything that I need to know about the child, a young child, what is there to know about a young child's mind or what goes on within it. It's the first week in the Montessori training, which kind of brought these, these very, I would say, arrogant thoughts that I had about myself. They all brought them all down and made me realize that the child is this vast field and all unknown territory. There is so much to know about young children, what goes on in their mind and how they function. Now, once the child is, 6 years, I'm sure most of you who have children around this age group are already seeing their personality changing a little bit. Your little cute little child who would, tag along with you, who would want to be with you all the time, who would, seek your attention, who would come to you with every little question, not tinker, not, fidget, who would listen to whatever you said and would just follow your instructions to the T, who would keep his things in its place whenever you asked to do that, is now suddenly changing. So 6 years is that mark where a lot of changes happen and your child's personality is completely altering. This is the beginning of a whole new phase in your child's life. So Dr. Maria Montessori divided the individual's developmental stages in 4 major planes. So the 0 to 6 was the first plane, 6 to 12 is the second plane, 12 to 18 is the third plane, and 18 to 24 or 18 plus is the fourth plane. And she said that all the developments that are to happen are happening during these planes of development. So the second plane, as she called it, is the 6 to 12-year age group. This 6 to 12-year age group is a very, very important phase in the child's life. This is when your child's absorbent mind has started to fade, and slowly the intellect has now taken over. So there is a sudden surge of intellectual energy. You can see that for everything that you say or everything that you do, your child is now asking a lot of questions around why, around how, why not, how not. So everything is now surrounding the logic and the analytical development or analytical aspect of the child's mind. So this is the age of intellectual development, and intellectual stimulation is what children require at this age. Now, along with intellectual development, there is another important power that your child did not have before 5.5, 6 years of age, and that is the power of imagination. So before 6 years, while children can imagine, their imagination has to be rooted in reality. So everything that needs to be offered to children from the 0 to 6 years age group has to be based in reality. Nothing that is not based in reality is going to add to your child's development or understanding of his immediate world. Because in the 0 to 6, they're exploring their world using their senses. And once the sensorial exploration is near complete, they start exploring their world intellectually. So the imagination plays a very important role. And what happens is that with this imagination, which has received a lot of real-time work or real-time experiences and exposure in the first 6 years, their imagination can go really beyond what any of us can even think of, because it is grounded, it is based in reality. This imagination, along with the intellect, can cause miracles in this particular age group. So at around 6, you can very comfortably think that with your 6-7-year-old child, you can have an intellectual conversation. You can have a conversation that is based in reason. You can have a conversation that is based in logic. You can have a conversation that is based in analysis. Any kind of statistical analysis your children will now be able to understand, and that is the stimulation they require. Now, imagination, what do we do with this imagination which is running wild, which is almost playing havoc in their minds? This imagination needs to be fed with anything and everything that the universe can offer to your child. So the way we work with elementary children, we refer to elementary children who are above 6 years. The way we deal with elementary children, the kind of work that we do with them, is that we bring to them the entire universe and the way the universe works. So the very first initial lessons that we give to children at around 6.5 years of age is the story of how our world was created. And how the earth was formed, and then how life came onto this earth, and how slowly all the different beings and creatures came onto this earth, and finally how the human being appeared on this earth. So their questions, because of this combination of the intellectual and the reasoning, intellectual mind and the imagination, are all about, okay, where did I come from? Who am I? Where did this earth come from? How did all these plants come? How did all these animals come from? So they are constantly in that inquiry, which is fulfilled and taken care of in the elementary environment at Blue Blocks. So one of the ways of catering to their imagination is through telling them great stories. Now, the great stories are basically 5 major stories that we tell children in this particular age group, which take care of every aspect that touches every individual person on this planet. So it is about how the earth was formed, how life was created, how letters were formed, how numbers came into being. And it's all about how this human being appeared on this planet and what are the gifts of this human being. Now, along with a great intellect and this very wide imagination that children have at this age, they are also blessed with a very strong sense of morality. And this, in fact, is a very important age for children to learn all the rights and the wrongs. This is the time that they get to understand how this world functions. Everything in their mind is black and white, but they can also see the gray in between. But for them, it is all about being fair or not being fair. So their morality or their sense of moral development is at a peak at this time. They are in fact blessed with this moral development. You would notice that, your 7, 8-year-old child, while having a conversation or while having, if they get into an argument, they're always going to come back to you and tell you, Mama, this is not fair. Or Papa, what you said, that was not right. Now, these conversations, are normally disregarded as rude or disregarded as very not very acceptable kind of conversations by our children. But trust me, for them to be able to express themselves from a moral development is like helping you see that they have this moralistic streak which needs to be nurtured and developed. They're actually showing that to you, that, hey, you know what, I can understand this. And for me to have this moral sense is very important right now. They're in the process of developing their own moral code for life. So the 6 to 12 years, if we take care of their moral development, if we help them understand how this world works and how it is so important to build those value systems which are based in morality, then the child's moral development is taken care of for life. You don't have to worry about your child after 12 years. That is how strong this age group is. This age group is also marked with a very important instinct, and that is called the group instinct. So post 6, I've interacted with many parents who have children between this age group of 6 to 12 years, because I'm myself a mother of an 8-year-old daughter, and I exactly know what parents tell us, that, my child doesn't want to come back home. She wants to be out with her friends all the time. And, even when she's home, she wants to, be either with, do her own things, or, wants to basically just be involved with her friends. Now, at this age, the impact of peer group is very strong, because children have something called the group instinct. They like to work in groups. They like to collaborate. They do not like to do individual work. So if you are to compare, for the only just, for just to compare, not to say which is good, which is bad, but just to compare, if you are to compare the traditional system, and if we go back to our own schooling, from 1st grade to 10th grade, I don't remember any activity that I did in the classroom, any academic activity that I did in the classroom, where I was expected to collaborate with my friends and work, that I was expected to work as a team. The only things I remember is those, very occasional projects that we used to get, some of the, plays that we used to organize during annual day, sports day. It was only during these occasions that our need for collaboration actually came into play. And those are the only times we actually end up remembering, isn't it? How many of us really remember all those classes that we had in school? But we definitely remember all the time that we spent with our friends as a group, either preparing for an activity, or even setting up the stage was equally exciting, because we got to work as a group. So this group work is again a very important characteristic. So all the activities that we present to children in the elementary environment are presented to small groups of children, and children get to collaborate with each other. Now, if we are to look at the kind of qualities that we want our children to have when they grow up, one of the major qualities that an adult needs to have to be industry ready is to be able to collaborate with other people. So if we look at any interview today, nobody asks us about how good you were in academics. Nobody looks at our marks, but they are definitely looking at how good a team player are you? How well can you collaborate with other individuals in your team? So that these qualities are developed not at 21, 22 years of age, but they have to be developed from a very young age. And 6 to 12 is the time that children love to work in groups. And that's a great space, great time to start introducing this sense of collaboration. So when our children are collaborating and working with each other, they not just explore the subject, but they're also doing a lot of research work together, which is also at the core of the methodology. They do a lot of projects together. They do a lot of work where they need to define their roles in a group. So maybe in one group, this, your child is the leader. In another group, the same child is expected to be a follower. In another group, the same child is expected to do just a very teeny mini role. So they understand and they can empathize with every person in every role and every designation. And that's the beauty of this collaboration that children can experience in a Montessori elementary environment. Now, along with all of these qualities that children have in the 6 to 12 age group, there's another very major quality, and that's called great work. Children at this age like to do massive work. Like, you introduce them to a concept and they want to explore it to the limits. And this possibility is only available in an environment which does not restrict them with a timetable, which does not put restrictions in terms of math period, language period, science period. In our Montessori environments, children are allowed to explore a subject to whatever extent that the child would love to explore it, and for which there is enough material that is provided at home as well as outside the environment. They're given multiple avenues where they can explore these subjects and they can do their further research work. So these are some of the qualities of your child in the age group of 6 to 12 years, which any system of education needs to cater to, such that after 12, once the child has received, by the time the child is 6, once the child has become functionally independent, by 12 years, the child becomes intellectually independent. And this independence that child is received by the time he or she is 12 years actually helps them find their path as they move on from 12 years onwards, as they move into their teens, and they start understanding that the world does not work individually, that the world is interdependent with each other. So interdependence is again a very major topic that we deal with at different levels in the elementary environment and as part of the elementary curriculum. Once children understand that every aspect that is there in this universe today, every speck of dust, to the greatest creatures, to the human being, every person, every individual, every creature has a role to play in this world, has a role to play in this cosmos, and is actually contributing to the balance of the cosmos, is when these children start to inquire that what is my task in this world? What is my cosmic task in this world? So the Montessori education caters to the children's independence, caters to making them independent individuals, and also constantly helps them understand that that every creature is fulfilling a certain cosmic task in the universe. In this whole cosmos, they are playing a very major and important role, however tiny they might be. And that leads them to start thinking that, okay, what is my task? What is my purpose in life? And that leads them to find their place in society. That leads them to start exploring their own skills, their own abilities, and they start becoming contributing members of the society. So the whole idea of the Montessori education is to turn children into contributing individuals, not those who will take away from the society, but the ones who will give to the society. So that is the major outcome of the Montessori education. Now, post 12 years, yes, there is the Montessori education after 12 years where children become emotionally independent. That is the time that they are going through a lot of physical changes, there are lot of mental changes that they're going through, and they require an environment which is understanding and empathizing. They require an environment where the adults know that these children are capable and they are able to extract their ability to the optimum level. And that is the kind of environment that the Montessori system provides. So at BlueBlocks, we are looking at providing the Montessori education till grade 10. And along with the Montessori education, we are also affiliated to the Cambridge assessment, Cambridge University assessment. So Mridula, can we move on to the next this slide? Yeah, so before I speak more about Cambridge, I'm going to ask Nidhi to give you a virtual tour of both our campuses. While you take this virtual tour, I want you to keep in mind a few things and certain things which might, mean very different to you, and they mean very different in the Montessori system. So she'll be using certain terminology like environment. So our classrooms are referred to as environments. They're not referred as classrooms. They are not typical classrooms, and that is the reason we call them environments. They are very open-ended. They provide the child the scope to move around, to pick up his or her materials and to work on it at their own pace. So you will be hearing words like environment, work, materials, activities, and directress, because the teachers in our school or in the Montessori curriculum, in the Montessori system, are referred to as directresses. So over to you, Nidhi.
Thank you so much, Munira, for briefing the parents about this. And I'm really excited to give this virtual talk. So Mridula, can we have the slides, please? This is a primary campus in Gachibowli, where we have children between 1 and 6 years of age. We are awaiting for our children to, come back and fill the campus with their laughter and fun. When children play outdoors, they increase their ability to balance, jump, climb, throw, run, and skip. So outdoor play provides our children with the opportunity to gain social skills by interacting, collaborating, and negotiating with others, as Munira was sharing. Our little ones, they learn about the natural environments and their surroundings when they are outside, like they learn about the weather, change of season, different birds or insects, that are found around. So here we start to the toddler environment. The space has been prepared very specifically, keeping in mind our little children. Just the way like you and me as parents did a lot of preparation before we had our little ones. Similarly, our Montessori directresses, they prepare this environment with a lot of love and care, understanding the developmental need of the child. You see, it is very attractive, welcoming, and conducive to learning. Environment has a space large enough to accommodate all the children, providing them free and comfortable movement. There are areas you can see all the activities each day. All the furniture you see is child size, keeping in mind to encourage them to be independent, so that children can go work independently all by themselves. We have 3 pre-primary environments, which we also call them as self-interpretive environment. This is our first environment. These environments cater to the needs of children between the age group of 2.5 to 6 years, accommodating their physical, social, and cognitive needs. The display of the material you can see here is very interesting. It is, complete, and it is in working order. Children are provided with natural and real life materials and activities as often as possible. So in Montessori, often the focus is on independence. So as Pawan and Munira has been talking about, independence is a natural urge. It is a vital force which comes from the internal drive. There's a lot of order, cleanliness, and beauty you see. Child-sized table and chair where they can move easily. Here we can see a snack corner where children have good time. Their cubbies to save their work and have their memories on. Now we are moving on to our second environment, because preparing the environment, it is such an important task. The Montessori teachers are familiar with every detail of the child development need. So, they have a lot of areas to work on. To give you few insight on the areas, there's an area called Practical Life. They're just that the exercises, so that they are exercises so that the child can learn how to do living activities in a purposeful way. It helps the child to gain independence and adapt to his society. There's another area, which when we go to the other room, you can see, yeah, this is the sensorial area that we have. Sensorial work helps them become more logical and aware. Setup of the material stimulates the interest of child, appealing to all senses. Mathematics during the first 6 years enables the child to form positive association with numbers. We are now moving on to a third environment. Can you see the railing on to the left? They are all child size, children can hold and walk to the class all by themselves. So environment also frees children to focus during the period of learning by keeping the space free of clutter and distraction. There is no fixed furniture setup, which you can see. Gives children room to move and explore without disturbing others. So although setup of each classroom is little different, Montessori classrooms all have these features.
And a similar Montessori classroom is what we're going to show you now. A 20-minute ride away from the Gachibowli campus is our Tellapur campus, which is where our complete school is located. As you can see, it's a sprawling campus of just under 2 acres of land with grounds and a bigger building. This is the big blue blocks, as our children would like to call it. They come here for where we offer them 2 elementary environments and 1 primary environment, with obviously a lot of scope to grow more with our children. And as one great man said, you are the product of your environment. And Montessori environments are as big a learning tool for the child as the subjects they learn. They allow the child to explore to their heart's content and have experiences that will shape their learning. This is a 6 to 12-year-old classroom in the environment in the Tellapur campus. The children can work in spaces that they can choose and with people and partners that they can choose to work with. And there you can see that all the material is specifically placed in order. So this is also another example of helping children understand order, because everything has its own place in the environment. And materials, these are the perfect tool for the children. Materials are meant to be manipulated. Materials are what children manipulate to understand the concepts behind the lessons. Using these materials, we are able to cater to the children's imagination, facilitate group work, as you have seen in the previous pictures, and help build that concrete base that we need for their abstract learning. And the best part is the children take care of their own environment. Caring for their environment is part of their regular schedule as well. We also have 2 very unique spaces in the campus. The Innovation Lab, where we stir the innovative and imaginative minds of the children, where they're encouraged to think beyond and out of the box, so to speak. And also, whenever they do this, there is never any judgment. It's always encouraged and all exploration is encouraged, as is the case with this lab. This is the first of its kind drone lab, where we give wings to our children's imagination, where they are encouraged to come up with ideas to make drones that actually help people. And the best part is they understand the technology involved in making these drones. Now, our outdoor space, you seen from before, is an open and vast environment that is often used as an extension of the classroom environment, where children get to do everything from art to biology. Our campus comprises of the dance room that you just saw to your right. This is the amphitheater area, and the art room that is right here, where we have an in-house art mentor who's with the children working with them. And here we have a track that goes around the multi-purpose ground that surrounds this open area. This is, of course, the big sand pit, which is a favorite of children, and the obstacle course, and the basketball court. The multi-purpose ground that you saw in between is where children play everything from kickball to football to cricket as they would like it. Now, you have seen the campus, you've heard the pedagogy, you've heard our methodology, you've seen everything. Now let's get some logistics out of the way. So let me just share what our logistics are going to be like. So we will be starting our new academic year on 15th of June, 2020. Now, we are awaiting, of course, word from the state government and the center regarding lockdown procedures and how are we coming out of it and whether we'll be able to physically open the school or not. But pending that, we will be starting our academic year, and we are getting ready to do it on the virtual platform as well. Now comes the big question. You've heard all that we've spoken about Montessori and how it is so hands-on, on how it is catering to each need with scientifically designed material, where the environment plays such a big role, as we both, Nidhi and me, just took you through our environments. So how do we translate all this onto a platform where we may not be even be able to interact or talk or present stuff to children in person, where we cannot even meet the children in person? Well, there's one thing that upfront I would like to make it very clear, and as a disclaimer or be very candid about it, is that yes, the Montessori environment in its entirety, we cannot really transplant to our homes. That is something we just cannot do, because we need that kind of a group work. We kind that the dynamics that work in the environment are very essential and very intrinsic to that environment. Also, that material that we use in the environment is very precisely and scientifically developed to work with, and there is, in each material has a series of steps or procedures that we use to help children manipulate them. So yes, the material we may not, and the environment we may not be able to replicate. But there's one thing and I think all of us very firmly believe in is, while we may not be able to we may not get the material, we cannot do Montessori without the philosophy. As long as we have the philosophy of Montessori in us imbibed and we're able to spread it, we can do Montessori on virtually any platform. So for us, virtual learning is much more than just online learning, because right now the trend is that everybody is getting onto the computer on Zoom calls like these and taking down lessons from their teachers and then working it out. So that's not the entirety of learning. In fact, with Montessori, what really convinced me about Montessori, and that really clicked a bulb in my head when I first heard of this concept, is that in Montessori methodology, children do the learning, not so much that we do the teaching. It's the child who is learning rather than the teacher who is teaching. So that's why we are not called teachers. We are called directresses. We are directing the child's learning. We are guiding the child to learn. And when we have this philosophy, and all of us on our team, I can assure you, I have what we call in Montessori terminology, we have completely imbibed, we have taken it all in. We are able to help you with that. We have the philosophy to share. We are able to help parents understand the philosophy. Our existing parents can vouch for it. We have been constantly talking to them. We've had lots of sessions with them where we have been laying the groundwork, so to speak, for them to be able to support their child no matter what the environment. So our virtual learning environment can be in your homes, it could be in your garden, it could be in your balcony. It need not be online or just with the worksheets that we provide. It can be anything. And so that is the kind of support that we would like to provide for you as well. Whether it is new parents or existing parents, we are preparing ourselves and we are ready, in fact, raring to go to share how we can start off the Montessori way of life for you, for your child at home, so that the child will continue to live it when he comes, or when he or she comes to BlueBlocks, whenever that may be. So let me show you how this is happening to already with some of us, and you can understand how this works out. So how will we do virtual learning? Like I said, our virtual learning is more about empowering the children and their parents to find opportunities to learn no matter the environment. Now here you see, let us take from the toddler environment that you saw, and our toddler directresses will vouch for it. We are concentrating on hand-eye coordination in this toddler environment. That's one of the key areas of focus here. So in BlueBlocks, this is how we achieve that, where there's a pouring activity. And I don't know, at home, this is something similar that we can achieve at home as well. Hand-eye coordination. In the SI, like Nidhi was sharing earlier, practical life is a very, very key aspect of SI life for a 3 to 6 year old child, especially. So here you see both these children doing the same activity, one at BlueBlocks, one at home, with the same kind of focus. There is no difference in the kind of concentration or interest or focus that these two children have. It's just that one is in their own kitchen, one is in the BlueBlocks kitchen. That's in the BlueBlocks environment. That's it. And again, math and sensorial, as Pawan was sharing, plays a very key role in address the developmental needs in our children. Here, this child at BlueBlocks is using this wonderfully crafted number rods where the child is counting, understanding quantity from 1 to 10 based on the size of the block, the rods that he is using. The same has been achieved at home using plain old building blocks. And I want to draw your attention to the children's hands here. Both of them are using the material in a similar fashion. Now, again, mathematics is very important. And I think Pawan was mentioning how at 4, the mathematical mind opens up in a child. Now, this is a 5-year-old child. And for him, math is as important as a phone is for you. It's really that intrinsic for him. Math, he has to do maths. It's something that he has to do. So when you have, but in the environment, he has this wonderful material. Look at it. It's so neat. It is precisely crafted. It's colorful. It has skittles. It has different shapes. It has perfectly rounded balls and all. It's such a exciting and encouraging and inviting material to work with, where the child is doing multiplication. Now, what does this child do at home when he has to do maths? He can't live without math. So we can help him make our board like this with just cardboard. And this is the kind of support our directresses and we can readily provide to parents in terms of how we can achieve the need of the child. See, the bottom line for Montessori education is follow the child. So we have to cater to the child's need wherever the child is. And we can find creative means to do that. And not just us, the children themselves actually. So if I can show you this is the movable alphabet Pawan was talking about, where the children make words with this really versatile piece of material. Now, I want you to hear what this child has made of that.
These are the compound words. I have arranged these compound words, so now I'm going to read this. Wheelchair, teacup, starfish, sunflower, football, hairbrush, heartbeat, downstairs, eggplant, keyhole, gingerbread, buttermilk, textbook, apple.
So that was a 4-year-old who did her compound words at home using cardboard. She's written the compound words and she's put them together and made her own compound word activity at home. And this, of course, the minute you might have heard of Montessori, and if you had Googled Montessori, the first picture you would have seen was this pink tower. And this pink tower is a quintessential Montessori material. You cannot not talk about Montessori and not talk about pink tower. It's that intrinsic to our methodology and philosophy. Now, this pink tower achieves a lot of things in the environment. They understand dimension, they understand stacking, they understand a lot of things with that. And look what the child at home has abstracted from it. What has she consolidated from her work in the environment with the pink tower? She's replicated that with household material, and it's so beautiful. I think all of us, when we saw this image, we were all overwhelmed with the work that both the directress, environment, and the child have been doing, that this abstraction has been achieved. Now let's move ahead. And Pawan showed you the color tablets earlier. And this is something you can see on what this child has done to the color tablets. And I think it's self-explanatory in many ways. Isn't that something? She has arranged them all in an order that in a pattern that she has understood and she has abstracted from her lesson and consolidated from her working with the color tablets. Now let's move on to a little bit of elementary and how we can do that at home. This is the checkerboard, one of the most favorite, most used material in the elementary environment, because multiplication is so much fun on this. In fact, it's a personal favorite of mine in the whole environment, because I have never realized multiplication could be this simple. Now, this activity that the children do it every day in, day out, and something that they clearly miss at home, can turn into an art project. Here, this child was able to take a big sheet. She was able to draw those squares, paint them, and then make her own crafting of those beads. So it was art, come making your own material, and the end result is she has a material that she can work with. So we can convert everything into something that the child will learn from it, even while they're making the material. The child, so this has taken care of her imagination, her creativity, her need to work hard, her need to do a great project. It's taken care of her need to explore the material. Everything has been taken care of if you can just encourage her to do this on her own. And this is something that we encourage all parents to do, that allow the children to start to do what they want to do, to explore and come up with something. It may not make sense to you and me until some point of time, but if it makes sense to them and if it is helping their learning, then why not? Again, fractions, that are a very important topic in our maths, right? I used to dread fractions. I never understood mixed fraction and improper fraction. But fractions are everywhere around us. They're in our chapati, they are in our cake, they are in our pizza, they are in our Mercedes logo. They're everywhere. Fractions are everywhere. In our environment, they are in the form of this really beautiful, precisely crafted metal insets, which really give new meaning to fractions. And a similar structure has been achieved at home using paper plates. Now you may be wondering, this is for the children who have already been in the environment, who understand a bit of the working of the environment and how they can manipulate the material. How about children who have never entered the Montessori environment? How do we cater to their needs on the virtual platform, if we want to call it that? So Montessori for beginners, it's basically what we're trying to say is that in the first few weeks of your child coming to Blue Blocks or any Montessori school, the focus is on many things other than just academics. The focus is on helping the child develop concentration, develop focus, develop the need to work, set up a work culture. All this is also very strongly stressed upon in the first few weeks of them entering a Blue Blocks or a Montessori environment. And this here on the left-hand side, you see a picture. This is a SI environment, a primary environment, where the children are walking on this yellow line. It's in the form of an ellipse. And these children walk on this line, again, like I said, to develop concentration and focus. And this is an activity that they do every day for the first few weeks, definitely, and throughout their stay in the SI environment, actually. And this, with just enough floor space, I'm sure we can do this at home as well. And another thing, Maria Montessori always said, I think Munira also stressed on this, to keep it real. Keep it real, let the child understand the world around them, especially the 0 to 6 age group. They need to first understand and live in the world around them. They need to adapt themselves to the world around them before they can be given the whole universe to understand, which is what we give at the 6 to 12 age group. So in this younger age group, why don't you, one of the important things that we stress on is the gross motor skills. Squeezing an orange is something that they can do. If you don't have an orange, give them a lemon. But you can help them do this at home. The gross motor skills are something that you can start them off. This is something we would not even think of giving our children, because ye to bacha hai, it's just too young for it. We can't do. Why would I want my child to do this? But this is also a very, very important aspect of their learning. This is about their growing and understanding the world around them and keeping it real for them. And that is why we encourage you to do these activities at home, so that the child is preparing mentally and physically to be ready for our Montessori environment when they come here. Language. I know all of you are thinking about, these are just something that we can do at home as well. But language, yeah, language is something we definitely stress on in our Montessori primary environment as well. And we have something called, and like Munira, I think, was mentioning, even Pawan, that the child wants to name everything. He wants to know, what is this? What is that? What is it? And the first thing we also tell him, right? The minute he's lying on his back, we say, what is that? That's a fan. That's a fan. That's the first thing we try to tell the child, that look at the fan, look at the light, look at the mobile, everything. So we also try to give everything names, and we want the child to know, have vocabulary. We want them to burst into vocabulary and talk about everything that is around them. So we can support that virtually as well. While before the child can come to Blue Blocks, we can help you with something called the classified picture cards. These will help the child give names to stuff, understand pictures and associate names with those pictures. We can see this child doing it in the environment on a mat. She's placing the pictures and corresponding names. Here, the same has been achieved at home, where the parent has given the pictures to the child and asking about it, and the child is able to identify them. So the idea here is to help you prepare the child for Montessori more than, we as a team have been working really hard to ensure this, and we are here to support, to encourage, to motivate, and give the kind of virtual support that we can to ensure that Montessori learning or learning period doesn't stop, whether it is at home or at Montessori. And once you start off, we will take over. And who is it that will take over? I want to show you our team. As you can see, we have a huge team from this photograph. And among these teams, we have 17 directresses who are all AMI trained. AMI is the Association Montessori International Netherlands. We are all trained from AMI, and we take care of both the toddler, SI, and the elementary environments. In fact, today we have with us on our panel 3 representatives from the directresses team. I'd like to invite them to share with you their experiences and their knowledge about their working in the environment. If I could first invite Asma, who is our toddler who is representing our toddler environment, to share her experiences with us. Asma, over to you, please. Asma, you'll have to unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Asma Fatima, toddler directresses. I did my training, 3 to 6 training in the year 2007. And from that, continuously working for around 10 years in primary section. And after working for a so long period of time, I thought of understanding more about toddler children. And there I got an opportunity to work with toddlers. So I found it privileged to be a part of the Montessori group in our Blue Blocks community. And the very first thing I got fascinated with the toddler children is the way they were able to express themselves, and they show the need of touching each and everything in the environment. They put hands on the material, and they are so much engrossed in the activity they are in. But though the concentration level at this time is little low, but I found that when they completely work with the material, they show interest in it. So I really see a lot of tremendous changes in their behavior pattern and way they are involving with other children. And this has driven me, a curiosity has developed in me to know more about Montessori philosophy, more about the toddler pedagogy. So luckily I got enrolled myself in Bangalore for assistant to infancy training, which is the very first training which happened in Bangalore, and I'm really find privileged to be a part of it. And I learned so many things around in that, so that I can involve with my toddler children in that. And after doing the toddler training, I felt like professionally I have developed myself the skills what is equally needed for me. But in the home too, I learned so many things. Like though my children are grown up, but I learned that I can do more and more for other children around in my family too. Just want to share a little experience about my toddler children in Blue Blocks. I really feel so thrilled when I see children. They come to Blue Blocks with so much love, with so much passion and touching the material inside. And really it filled my day up. And I was so blessed that I'm working with such young minds. And as the day is passing day by day, I felt that my inner enthusiasm had getting stronger and stronger to work more with the toddler children. I really love being around and surround myself with toddlers. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Asma, for that.
It's my pleasure, Madhurala.
It was great to hear your enthusiasm. Now,
Thank you so much.
I'd like to invite Ms. Rosina. She's representing our SI Directors team. Rosina, if you would like to share something with us.
Sure. I think now it's good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rosina. I have done my Montessori training, extensive training in the year 2000 and 2001. Ever since I am working with the children of different cultural backgrounds in various countries like Singapore and United States of America. Finally, I landed up at BlueBlocks. I joined BlueBlocks in the year 2009. It has been 11 years I'm associated with BlueBlocks, and it is my privilege to be with this organization, which is very authentic, who follows the Montessori philosophy to the fullest. I am really privileged to work with this organization, and everybody at our team helps, serves that wants to, motto is to serve the child of universe. So we strive our best, to work with children and their parents in a partnership. And my experience working for so many years, I easily bond with children of all temperaments. I understand well the needs and emotions of every child and care for them accordingly. My pedagogy, my understanding of pedagogy also helped my own children. I have two sons. One is 5-year-old and the other one is 12-year-old. My 12-year-old son, who also did his toddler years and Montessori program at BlueBlocks, and the foundation was very strong at BlueBlocks, and being a Montessori mom, it really helped him to develop all the aspects of his personality. At this time, I see he has really developed so well academically. He understands everything, and he does whatever questions he have. He does the research work independently, and he's very confident. Besides academic, he also takes care of the kitchen completely, where he prepares proper meals for the whole family. He takes care of the household activities, and he is also an event manager. He takes care of every event from starting to end, because we focus so much this in the Montessori that the child is worked so much on the starting and then the processing and the end. So I see so much of result because of the Montessori philosophy and because of the BlueBlocks. And my younger one, who is 5-year-old, has also done the toddler years at BlueBlocks, and right now he is in the primary program. And for him, Montessori mom is my older one, because he learns a lot from my older one. I really don't have to struggle so much because of my older one. So I'm blessed that my children are into Montessori, into Montessori education, and I'm really thankful to BlueBlocks because they have given the strong foundation to them. And let me share with you what inspired me of Montessori pedagogy. The most important thing I like is independence. We work towards independence. We try to give opportunities to children where they are developed independently. It can be their independent dressing, undressing, setting up the place, cleaning up the place, winding up. We leave them in, we make sure that children are independent with regards to everything in the environment. We prepare the environment in such a way that they have freedom to move around, they have freedom to choose the work they want to, and they have freedom to share their thoughts, share their talk to their peer group. And our Montessori environment caters to all the aspects of Montessori development, be it a physical, emotional, social, or intellectual. When it comes to intellectual, our children I mean, the material in the environment is very scientific and accurate, and all the materials in the environment cater to the intellectual development of the child. And when it comes to social, as we all know that this is a mixed age curriculum where we have children from 2.5 to 6 years of age. Children in this age group, especially the younger one, learn a lot from the older ones, and the older one feels responsibility to take care of the younger ones. They learn from each other. They communicate with each other. They socialize with each other. They learn all the social behavior patterns from the older sibling, older peer group. And when it comes to physical needs, we give the children material which develops their prehensile and gross motor skills. And when it comes to emotional, we see in the Montessori environment, children learn to work on their emotion or develop their emotions. They get to know the emotions and the right way to deal their emotions. And in the Montessori environment, we plan for each child, individual child, according to their development, according to their needs. We do a lot of observation. Based on the observation, we decide, we plan on the activities, and every material in the Montessori environment is has the control of error. They learn, the material itself corrects them, and this way they develop the confidence. So a lot of things which we do it in the Montessori environments help them develop the concentration, coordination, work attitude, and Therefore, Montessori curriculum caters to the holistic development of the child. I am really blessed and proud to be a Montessorian. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosina, for those words. You're very enthusiastic directors we have there. Just before I introduce our elementary representative, just wanted to give a quick reminder for all the participants and attendees. Could you please furnish the details we had asked for in the chat window? We just need some of your details for our records, and I'll repost the details that we seek from you. So you can just furnish them before we close the webinar in after a few minutes. Okay, I request you to do that. Now I'd like to introduce Ms. Priya. She's our elementary directress. She's representing the team that takes care of the elementary environments here at BlueBlox. Over to you, Priya.
Thank you, Mrudula. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the BlueBlox family. I'm Priya. I'm an AMI certified trained elementary directress working currently with BlueBlox in the 6 to 12 years elementary environment. I've been associated with BlueBlox for the past 7 years, and it's really an immense pleasure for me to be associated with this organization for such a long period, because as Ms. Rosina said, BlueBlox follows 100% Montessori philosophy, pedagogy, and principles, and that's the energy that keeps us going with the organization. And to introduce about myself. 10 years before, I was looking for my school for my son, and we found BlueBlox as a best place for my son. And whatever was said at that time by Mr. Pawan and Ms. Munira, that these developments would definitely happen at the end of the 6 years, we could really see at the end of 6 years, and that motivated me to become part of the Montessori community. And I started working in the primary environment for 5 years with the 3 to 6 years age group of children. And it was really an immense pleasure working with that tiny little children, and I really learned a lot from my co-directresses and all my lead directresses. They've given me a lot of inputs, and after doing that years, and I had a curiosity to understand what a Dr. Montessori had said about the 6 to 12 years of children. Then I enrolled myself into the elementary program, successfully finished it, and currently working with the elementary group of children. And be it like anything, like toddler or primary or elementary, what Montessori said as philosophy is the same, that we have to cater to the characteristics and serve the need of the child. We have to address to the need of the child. And some of the aspects that which all our colleagues have already mentioned, like the child has to get the gratitude. They have to show gratitude to anything and everything that is around us. They have to develop their order and discipline, responsibility. So this is all the factors or the aspects that is ingrained in each and every lesson that we do with children. Like every presentation focuses on all these aspects, and that really helps for the holistic development of the child. And what I personally like about Montessori is, like, it's the mixed age group where Miss Rosina mentioned about, like, how the younger ones learn from the older ones, and older ones take the responsibility to teach the younger ones. And also they have mentioned about the materials are the best learning tools, where children get to understand the whole concept, and they will be able to make a lot of discoveries around it. So when any adult could be a person who don't even know about Montessori, who steps into the classroom, can see these all children working like adults. Like they are like collaborating with each other. They learn from each other. There's a lot of group activities going on, and we could hardly find the directress in the environment. And it's like a community working where children take up the responsibilities with themselves. They clean up the room, they work together, they help each other. And this is so heartwarming for us to see as adults, that how strong is this community building, and that we can see only in Montessori classroom. And as I said, both my children are from the primary Montessori background, and at home too, it really helps me a lot as a Montessori mother. And this Montessori program has done a great transformation in my life too. And yeah, I should be thankful to Dr. Montessori. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priya.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking care of that, letting us know how the experience is with elementary children as well. So we are almost to the end of our webinar. So the next question we wanted to answer for you was, if you have been keeping track of our questions, was that where does Cambridge fit in and come in? And for this, I would like Munira to take over and share some details with you on how we cater to the Cambridge syllabus as well.
Thank you so much, Mridula. So I'm going to be very quick and precise with the Cambridge curriculum. Basically, the Cambridge curriculum is an assessment system. It provides us a framework to test and assess the level at which children are. So what when we were researching about different systems of education and about different boards, basically, because after first grade, every school needs to be affiliated to a board, we found that the Cambridge Assessment International Education is one of the most open and welcoming kind of board. It encourages the school to follow its own philosophy and methodology along with doing the Cambridge assessment. So it helps us do the examinations, and up to 8th grade, it is called Cambridge, and 9th and 10th is IGCSE. So that is how we will be following the Cambridge system, and we will be, taking it through till grade 10. So over to you, Mridula. You're on mute, Mridula.
Sorry about that. Now that you heard from us, so now comes your part in this. So where can you enroll? That is our last question that we wanted to answer today. So we have a 3-step process for admission into BlueBlocks: attending the virtual tour, and that's ticked off here in red because you've already done it. You have attended our virtual tour. So the next thing would be for you to request for an admission form. You can call or WhatsApp 90090053. That is Ms. Sheetal's number. You can just leave a message with her and she will get back to you, post which you will schedule a one-on-one meeting with the management and with the school so that you can take the admission process further. Now, we have come to the end of our webinar. We have spoken what we had to, we have communicated what we had to communicate. Before I throw the floor open for questions, and I can see that some of you have already asked questions, and I can see some raised hands as well. Just very quickly, I want to share something with you. I want to leave this webinar with some voices that come from our children.
I come to school to learn and play and have fun. And I like the presentations, ma'am. The best part is that when ma'am leaves, we can do it by ourselves and explore the material.
I like doing square root and ratio, word problems. They're my favorite activities that I do every day. The drone lab and the innovation lab is the thing that I love the most. In the drone lab, we get to make our own drones and we can fly them. I like the most that our teacher never scolds us whenever we do something wrong. They just help us.
I like Blue Blocks because I get to invent many things in the innovation lab, and I get to
We have lost the voice, Mudra.
be with my friends. I like math activities in the classroom because they help me a lot. I like the innovation lab because I do innovative things. I like the drone lab. We can make many kinds of drone and fly them.
So those were our children telling you why they like to come to Blue Blocks. Now the floor is open for questions. We have some of our handles, social media handles and information here that you can check out to follow us and get in touch with us. Now, Pavan and Munira, the floor is open for questions. Let's take some of the questions that have already been asked in the question Q&A. And I think we have one raised hand.
Yeah. So let's go with the raised hand. Manvi, would you like to ask?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, hi. Hi. Thanks for the webinar. Like it gives some information about how things work, of course. But I just found out that elementary is available only in Tellapur campus.
Yes.
So I just wanted to know how connected is this campus to the city? I mean, for example, Kukatpalli, KPHP, like, I mean, two children actually travel so long. I mean, it appears almost like 1 hour distance from my place when I travel just for a visit. So
we do have transport from Kukatpalli. We have few children coming from Kukatpalli, Bandui. And for logistics, the best way to understand is once the school reopens, you visit yourself and you will get to know, or on the Google Maps, you can check, at what time of the day, how long it takes for you to get a sense of. But we do have transport from Kukatpalli, yes.
Okay. So, I mean, otherwise, till this lockdown is over, is it an online session which you're planning for the kids who enroll newly also?
Yes, both. There'll be some sessions directly with children as well, and a lot of work we are going to do with parents as well.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Thank you. And any estimate, or it will go with government declaration on Wedgwood skills?
We have no say in the matter. There is a lot of uncertainty, but in a positive scenario, we are hoping that from August we should be starting. That's what we are hoping positively.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Surya, over to you.
Hi, Pawan. Good afternoon.
Yes.
I'm Surya and my daughter is 3.5 years of age. Now that we are uncertain when would schools resume, and even if schools resume, some parents might be skeptical of sending their children to schools.
Correct.
And also, even if lockdown is restrictions are lifted, there are chances of resuming the lockdown again in case if cases persist. So would we as parents choose to opt for, would we as parents choose for continuing virtual schooling for this academic year? Is there an option for parents to continue virtual schooling for this academic year? Is a question I have.
So till we have a notification from government to start the school, the virtual learning will be on. But once the school reopens, we will not be able to do both, Surya. Will not be able to do both real-time schooling at school and virtual teaching, because the teachers will have to now shift the focus to working with children directly.
Okay. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for that question, Surya. Yeah. So we have we are already running late, but we will take as many questions as you have. For those of you who have to leave at any point of time, please feel free to leave. If you are looking at taking the admissions process to the next level, then you will have to request for an admission form from Sheetal. This number is 9009555053. On our website, you can find the details. And for those of you who have questions, please stay back. Thanks.
Pavan, we have, I think we have 2 questions on our Q&A page.
Okay.
One is,
yeah.
Sitting at home, how can we introduce Montessori learning to the child, and how do you plan to make the child comfortable sitting in front of the system and not move away from the screen?
Yeah, so there are a lot of factors at play for this, we are doing a very elaborate orientation on what exactly includes the virtual learning. So we'll not be able to answer that right away. Yeah.
Another child is, if a child is a beginner, how would it help in this virtual platform since they cannot visit the classroom or the environment?
Yes. So again, as I said, there'll be a lot of work we are going to do with parents. So whether you're a beginner or an existing parent, you'll be guided based on your child's age and developmental needs on how you can support their development at home. Yeah.
I think we had a raised hand. I think you unmuted.
Yeah. Mohita, you can go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So on that question which was asked by someone, so we have never sent our kid to the school as of now. We've been not exactly homeschooling her, but yeah, whatever we could from our end, we've tried to inculcate in her. But if we probably start this virtual session, how would it help her? Plus, with school reopening, how would you maintain social distancing? Because even if the government removes the lockdown and restrictions, but still we will have to continue living in social distancing for a long time, because we would have to live with corona for, I don't know for how long. It's not really safe for kids to mingle around with so many other kids. So how would you maintain that in schools?
Yeah, so we are waiting for all government instructions, Mohita, on how we got to do the social distancing. Internationally, we are following what other schools are going to do once these schools reopen in the other parts of the world. So as you rightly said, probably we might have to live with this for quite a while. So we will have to figure out ways to do it. So we are watching very closely, and we are trying to see how do we get young children to come to school as well as maintain social distancing. It is going to be very, very challenging, but we will have to deal with all the challenges on hand.
And for beginners, would you be working with parents specifically, because those who have never been to Montessori platform or to any other school for that sake?
Yes. So a lot of work is going to happen with parents. Yes.
We have one more question.
So when is the orientation for virtual learning? That is subject to your completing the admission process. For all our existing parents, we are doing it for some elementary, we are doing it today. For our self-interpretive and toddler parents, we are doing it next Saturday. But if you don't complete the admission process in this meantime, we'll be doing a special orientation for all the new joinees. So once you complete the admission process, we will keep you posted on when we are going to do that virtual learning orientation. Yeah, thanks for asking that. So we have Sunita.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a mother of a 33-month-old daughter. My questions, I have 3 questions. I'll begin with the first one regarding assessment. You have said that for the first grade to 8th grade, there's one form of assessment from 9th, and for 9th and 10th, it is IGCSE. So I really didn't get, like, how is it for the 1st to 8th grade? How do you conduct assessment? And the second one is regarding fee structure. If I choose to enroll my daughter, who obviously falls between the 0 to 6 slab that you had mentioned, 0 to 6 planes of development, yes. What will be the fee structure there? And I don't know if I can ask this here on this platform, or will that be a separate application, separate interaction? And the third one is regarding the admission process. So what is the admission process? You said there's something like an orientation to the parents, and then, because this is the first time she'll be going to school, she hasn't been even to daycare. So even if it is virtual, how is it going to be? If you can just give me a rough idea.
Yeah, for the admission process, can we play that slide again, Mridula? In the meantime, Munira, would you like to answer the examination part?
Yes. So, Sunita, we are following the Cambridge assessment. Cambridge assessment calls itself Cambridge till grade 8, and then it is called IGCSE 9th and 10th. So it is Cambridge throughout, the 1st till the 10th grade. So they have specific checkpoint examinations which children can start taking whenever they are ready. These exams can be taken from grade 1 onwards, but this will be at the discretion of the school as to when we want to start the checkpoints. We always have that facility to start the checkpoint examination any time that our children are ready for it. They don't have to be, it doesn't have to happen in the month of March. It doesn't have to happen at the end of an academic year or any of that. So that is how we will be conducting the exams. So basically they send us the papers, we give it to the children and they work it out themselves. It all has to happen in a very non-threatening environment. So it doesn't have to be like one particular day exam, particular examination hall that they're sitting in. So till grade 8, none of the typical exam conditions have to be maintained. It's only in 9th and 10th, there is a proper exam hall, exam date, etc., which the school decides and then gives the exam papers to the children. So that's how the assessment is done. Now, this assessment is just an assessment of the children's understanding of from the books that they will be following in school, right? Whereas the kind of assessment we do in school is much, much deeper. Like we not just assess their academic achievements, but we also assess all other achievements that they are making at the social level, at the emotional level, at the intellectual level, you know, how much the child's cognitive skills have developed, how much the child's analytical skills have developed, to what extent is the child's interest level in different, areas that are being offered at school. So there is a detailed system of assessment that we have in the Montessori methodology. The Cambridge is just because we have to be affiliated to a board, and because we found that, you know, their system is a lot more evolved than many other boards, we have gone for the Cambridge assessment. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, so how was it before grade 1? So how do you track progress of a child who
So
is
like I said, in the Montessori system, we have a detailed methodology of tracking the progress of every individual child. You will receive a development record at the end of the year, which will give you all the activities that your child has completed in that particular year, the activities that the child is practicing, and the activities that the child has just been introduced to, along with a deep understanding of where your child stands at various levels, like communication skills, coordination with peer, overall movement development, how much of emotional connect the child has to the environment, and to what extent the child is emotionally developed. All these assessments will be provided in that particular development record. So Montessori by itself has a detailed assessment and observation methodology.
So that is towards the end, summative, you're saying?
Every year, yes, at the end of the year.
Regarding your question on the admission process and fee structure, you can WhatsApp on this number 9000 955. Oh, there's a mistake here in the number, Mridula. It's 9009 55053.
Okay. Sorry, I will just.
And the next step, Sunita, would be you requesting Sheetal for the admission form. Once you fill up the online admission form, and then we will schedule a one-on-one meeting with us.
I see. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for asking those questions. I'm sure it was relevant for all the other parents on this call. Thanks, Sunita.
Well,
Bhandavi,
you have another question?
Yes. Yeah. Hi, Pawan. Actually, this was the question connected to the previous one. Like, even if the government lifts the lockdown, I mean, will parents have a choice, especially considering these are like more prone group, like concerned in terms of immunity below 10 years? Like, do you have an option of online? I know you said it will not be possible, only either of it. So would you think on actually continuing the online system?
We will not be able to do it, Bhandavi, because once the school begins, we will have to focus our energy on children. and we can't have multiple teams. We can't get 2 different teams to work on virtual and this as well.
Okay.
What we might still do is, if we see a large percentage missing the schools, we might Monday to Friday still run the school, and Saturdays we might still be able to do a little work. I mean, we haven't really thought about it, but something like that we might still be open to do. But having 2 different teaching teams, one for virtual and one for teaching school, is something which we will not be able to provide.
No. My question has been, would you think on continuing only the virtual for a long time, considering like all the, yeah.
Once school start, see, we would want children to come to school. And yes, it's going to be challenging, but we are up to taking up with all the challenges to maintain social distancing, to avoid the spreading and ensure that their learning and development at school is happening.
Okay. Also in line with the same like fee structure, sorry, one question just on like recently there was a government order to take actually the monthly fees rather than the annual or the term fees. So is it the same with which is implemented at Blue Blocks? Like
yeah, so once you fill up the form, we can discuss the fee details at length, Bhanduvi.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right, great. Any other questions? All right. So as you all understood, if you are looking forward to taking the admission process to the next level, you will have to reach out to Sheetal on 9009 55053. And she'll be your one-stop person who will address all your queries with regard to admission. Any other queries you have, feel free to reach out to Sheetal. And if you feel that you would want to talk to one of us before even you take it further, we are very open to helping you with resolving all your questions, queries, and concerns. All right. It's a very big decision to put your child in any school, and we totally understand and respect that. Feel free to spend as much time as possible discussing every possible question, doubt, concern you have about putting your child in a school. All right. We really appreciate each one of you being on this call. It was planned for a 1-hour session, but it ended up becoming a 2-hour session. This was our first virtual open house which we have done. My apologies if you had to reschedule or change your plans to stay back on the call. And we really appreciate you spending such time with us. It really means a lot. And we wish you all the best, whether you choose to put your child in Blue Blocks or not. Follow us on our Facebook page, and you will see that we are doing a lot more sessions for parents. Whether you're a Blue Blocks parent or not, you can continue to benefit from this pedagogy through us. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.